Okay, I would like to talk a little bit about problem 3-2. Before I do that, I want you to be sure you're clear on some of the acronyms that are used within the chapter because we will be using those acronyms throughout the rest of the semester. So I want you to think about your income statement. On an income statement in financial accounting, we know that revenues minus expenses equals net income. Well, we're going to use a little bit different format when we are calculating items for finance. So we will have sales, which is the revenues, which we, within accounting principles, we usually called, if we're in the business of selling products, we would just call our revenue account sales. And then we subtract the operating costs, all those costs that are associated with producing those sales. But in finance, we don't want to, typically, we want to separate out depreciation. And so we'll have all those operating costs, but we will be excluding depreciation and amortization. Now, amortization is very similar to depreciation, but it's just on intangible assets. And so it's the same thing. It's a non-cash expense. So we'll have sales minus operating costs, and that will give us what we call this EBITDA. And actually, you will hear these acronyms within the finance world as well. And now you'll know what they mean. EBITDA means earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So be sure those are in your notes. So these are our earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. That's might be an important figure for us to use in some analysis at times. After EBITDA, then, we're going to subtract out depreciation. What we're interested in at this point, we want to figure out what our net income is based on operations, and so we have to go through these little steps because we'll end up with different portions of the income statement that we'll be using. So we have EBITDA minus depreciation, and that gives us EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes, right? We had EBITDA, now we subtract out depreciation, and we have EBIT. And so if you ever are given a problem that it talks about EBIT, you know that depreciation has been subtracted. And then we subtract interest, and that gives us, you guessed it, EBIT, earnings before taxes. And this is all in your textbook, but I think that it's very helpful if you actually write out this whole formula and keep handy in your notes. And then earnings before taxes, we'll subtract taxes, and that gives us our net income. So I would like you to write that down nice and neat, unlike how I've done it, so that you can be clear on what EBITDA is, what EBIT is, and what earnings before taxes is. Because the next thing we're going to look at, we are on problem 3-2, and we have an income statement, and it says that Little Butts Inc. recently reported $3 million of net income. Its EBIT was $6 million. Its tax rate was 40. What is its interest expense? And so how we're going to solve that is we're going to set up this income statement for Little Books, and we'll work from the bottom up. We know that the net income that they reported was $3 million. We also know that they are in the 40% tax bracket. And so if I want to know, I need to get earnings before taxes, I need to know what is 60% of what number divided by 60% would equal 3,000. Let me get my calculator. I should have had that handy. Oh dear, earnings before taxes, I would take this EBIT I would take net income, 3 million. I'm going to write this down and then find my calculator and divide it by 60% because my EBIT is 100%, my net income is 60% of that, right? And so if I take 3 million and divide it by 60%, I get 5 million. And always look and make sure your numbers make sense. And 40% of 5 million is 2 million. And so my earnings before taxes is 5 million. I've got 2 million in taxes. And I've got 3 million in net income. So I'm able to kind of work my way back up mathematically by doing that. And I guess that's all we need to do. Oh, it says, what is the interest expense? Well, interest expense, it gave us EBIT of 6 million. So if I have EBIT of 6 million and I have EBT of 5 million, I can take 6 million from 5 million and I can therefore determine that I have interest expense of 6 million. So that's the way that you will approach problems. Often you might have to start from the bottom up and figure it out that way. So I hope that helps.